Welcome to this episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. I am your host, founder, and executive director of Voices for Voices, Justin Allen Hayes. Thank you for joining us. As you can see, we are bringing the content to you as we always have and always will. The subject of this episode is a feeling that I think we all feel at any given time, some more than others, some on the same things and some on separate things. So let's get right into this. If you could do this, please give us a big thumbs up, like, share, comment, pass this content in our TV show and podcast for over 185 episodes for a total. And we don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So if you could do that, again, that doesn't cost any money. We would greatly appreciate that. And so that feeling that I alluded to at the beginning is, I guess, a little bit of two feelings. One is a little bit of helplessness, and the other maybe afraid, fearful. And we've talked about some of these feelings on prior episodes. But what makes this episode all the more relevant for these particular feelings or is the event that is going to happen tomorrow. So this episode will air after tomorrow's event because we do film ahead, even when we do film remotely. Sometimes we're able to air the episode sooner than some of the content is, and sometimes we're not. And this is one of those instances where we're not going to be able to air this particular episode before the event I'm going to describe. So the event I'm going to describe is an event that the last time it happened was in 2017 in November. And you guessed it, that was a time when I was at one of the psych ward wings of the hospital, where I was, my mental health was really taken a hold of, not only by the team, the staff, therapists, the prescribers, security, everybody, but also myself. I started at that time to take whatever was happening very seriously, to the point that I voluntarily admitted myself into the hospital. But the event that I'm going to be speaking about involves a particular event within that time frame that I was in the hospital. And that was the drawing of blood. And so that's what it's about, the drawing of blood. Not physically drawing with a pen and paper or with a pencil or with a paintbrush and paint, crayons, but where somebody with that experience comes, they use a needle and they draw blood, and then they test it for a myriad of things. And so that's what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's the first time that it will have occurred since November 2017. why is why is this event so makes me so afraid, fearful, helpless? Because way back when I was in high school, the the students were asked, they were doing a blood drive, and so I wanted to help out in any way I could, and so I signed up. I picked my time. I showed up, and as soon as I didn't look at my arm, and as they were getting started, my eyes closed, but I started to get this like lightheaded feeling. And again, I wasn't looking at what was happening. My body just had this very quick reaction to what was happening. And so they had to not only lean me back, but they had to, put my feet up higher than my head. And it was terrifying because when we're in school, even when we're not in school, but when we're in school and we're growing up, we're afraid. We want to approve. We want others to approve of us. And then I looked at it as a sign of weakness because I had to have all these extra steps occur when I was giving blood. And so that was a little bit different in the quantity. So there was much more blood that was being drawn that day than tomorrow. Nonetheless, as blood, my body had a reaction, and the helplessness was I couldn't do anything in that moment. There were professionals there, and they managed me and the situation, which was good. And I would recommend that as much as possible, if you're able to be around professionals in whatever field that you're going to. So if you're going to look at your car to get fixed, go to a mechanic. If you're looking for legal advice, go to an attorney, etc. And so, yeah, that was many years ago. And I remember a time in the future from that point when I was in high school, when just like tomorrow, I'm going to be in a afraid, helpless kind of position where, they're not trying to hurt me, but I know my body gives a feeling to me that doesn't feel good. It feels like I'm lightheaded, like I'm gonna pass out, and nobody likes to feel like that. At least I don't think so. And so that time where not in high school, but in the future, where they were gonna draw some blood. That's just a term that I've heard, so that's why I say draw blood. And as let's say it's the doctor or the nurse, I'm not sure the proper name of the individuals that do that draw the blood. But it was like a big muscular guy, and at the time, I had some tattoos, and I have several tattoos now. But at that time, I didn't have quite as many as I have now, and I haven't had any additional tattoos in many years. And so I mentioned to the gentleman, look, I'm gonna probably need to, sit back or lay down. Like, is there a is there another room? We can go in, because if you've ever had blood drawn, you may know that sometimes, if not always, you're kind of in like in a community room where there's many chairs, several chairs, and there could be somebody to the right and to the left and maybe to the front that they're getting their blood drawn as well, and they have different professionals working with them. Well, I told the gentleman that, and he goes, "Oh, you have these tattoos, and I don't know why you're so afraid of." And he used the word afraid, so maybe that's where it's carried on to today, to the present time. He's like, "Oh, you'll be fine." I said, "No, I'm just letting you know. Please, this doesn't make me feel masculine to be saying this, but I really do need a little bit of extra care." And he said, "No, you'll be fine." And he didn't listen. Well, got to the point where he got started. The dizziness feeling came over me. The lightheaded feeling came over me, and I say passed out, for lack of better terminology, for a few seconds. Pulled out it gets the ammonia, smelling salts to kind of bring me back. And when I came to it, how I knew that things were, like I had mentioned, that it was probably not a good idea if I wasn't laying down. I had a white t-shirt. Right now I have a black t-shirt on. And the white t-shirt had blood on the sleeve. And it was a short sleeve t-shirt, like this one. Just that t-shirt was white. This one's black. So the white t-shirt had blood scattered around it. And luckily, he was able to get the amount of blood that he needed for the test. And once I was done, they took me into that other room, where I kind of like more of a private setting where I could have laid down and went through the process a little bit, at least to me, a little more comfortable. Still feel helpless, afraid. Gave me a little bottle of orange juice to bring the sugar up, and it's funny in a way. So before I left, the gentleman said, "Oh, next time you go for a blood draw, let them know that if you can lay down," kind of like what I was asking to do. And I was kind of like, okay. So what I was trying to relay, and maybe I wasn't communicating the best way. I thought I would communicate it the right way. However, that was how that experience ended. Fast forward a couple more years, in 2017, and I was getting blood drawn because I was spending quite a bit of time in the emergency rooms. And so one of the things that they would do is they would draw blood and run whatever tests, whatever levels that they do. And when I was in the emergency room, I was laying down, so now I was in a bed. So that part was good. So I guess I got a little bit better at that. And then once I was admitted, they drew blood because my anxiety Again, I was hitting rock. I had hit rock bottom. My anxiety and all the things that were going on in my head. I was thinking, oh my gosh, my potassium is low, my potassium level. And so a couple times throughout the day, they would draw blood to check potassium. And I think at one time I said something about vitamin D. But anyways, I was all over the place, and 'tis why I was big reason why I was where I was. So when I was admitted to the hospital, and they would come, professionals would come and draw the blood, they would listen, and we'd go to the room where I was, because that was the closest place and the best that I could, not just when the blood was being drawn, but a couple minutes after, to not stand too quickly so I wouldn't fall down, those types of things. So the blood draw there, when I was in the psych ward, those went relatively well. I mean, as well as they could. And again, that was in November of 2017, and we're currently in late February of 2015, and I have had 0 blood draws since then. So the event tomorrow is I am going to have blood drawn, have an 8-hour period of fasting, which luckily with me and my, not say sleep methods or liking to sleep, it's a little bit easier now. Because prior I had to fast prior to that psych ward stay, and so there was an added level of anxiety. I'm gonna wake up and then I'm gonna go, and that's gonna throw me off kilter. Whereas now, since I have the team, the prescriber, being able to talk through the medications, talk through my experiences, what I'm going through, the medications that I'm still taking. So at that point in November of 2017, I basically made a deal with myself and said internally, if medication is going to be something that's going to help me, and again, I can't speak for anybody other than myself, so whether it's good, bad, indifferent, I'm only speaking for myself. Psychologically, I'm much better, but I still have days that are not great, and maybe that's part of putting this particular episode together when I am. And so the blood draw tomorrow is to check different things. Again, I don't know all the things. One of the big things I do know, again, I don't know all of them, but there's one that I do know, given the one medication that I take, and that is how it may or may not affect cholesterol. And I've gained a decent amount of weight, obviously since 2017, when I was down 30, 40 pounds. But even over and above that, there's been times where I've had sugar cravings out the wazoo, eating several pieces of pizza, or getting a large sandwich at Rockneys versus a small. And all these things we all, I think, go through at one point or another. Maybe not. I may be assuming. And that's, sorry if I'm assuming and you have not gone through that. And so there's really the two parts for tomorrow. One is I want to make sure that when they are drawing the blood, that I'm laying down, that I'm as comfortable as one can be while they are drawing the blood. And then get through it, get to the end, get to that finish line, and then be able to recover, which recovery, I'm not quite as, afraid in that. It's more of, that time of once I sit down or hopefully lay down, and, they take the swab and they, I think it's the alcohol, and then they get whatever they do to find a vein and all these things. That's the part that I'm fearful, afraid, feel helpless, because at that point, there's nothing I can do. I mean, I can say, I'm out of here. Around needles, probably not the best thing to do. So that probably won't be happening tomorrow. I can almost guarantee that. And then the second part is then the test results. So where do the numbers come in? Where on the continuum, in the middle, at the high level, above high, low? And so that's kind of that post blood draw that I am, I'm helpless at that point, because the blood's already been drawn, the testing's already going to be in process, that when I do have my next appointment, which is next Friday, so a week from tomorrow, that's when I'll find out kind of where things are at. And so I'm a little bit scared to find out that. And some of that has to do with, my father. He passed away March 1st of 2024. Next Friday is February 28th of 2025. And next Saturday, week from this Saturday, so this Saturday will already have been passed by the time this episode airs. So the next Saturday, March 1st, will be a year anniversary since my dad passed away. And up until that point, when he did pass, and I have all kind of emotions just surround that. And I think I speak for a lot of people, that I was in a lot of hospital rooms, infusion rooms, where my dad had, as he was going through his treatment, and he's still the strongest person I've ever met, to go through everything he went through, all the blood draws, all the infusions, all the shots, everything. And I mean, I think we're all selfish when we think of our own families, but he truly is, and he still is. I mean, he's in heaven, but he's still the strongest person that I've ever known. And so when he first found out that something was going on in his body, he had gone through, I think, the emergency room, and there was my memory is very, very foggy about what test, because I wasn't there. My dad was there with my mom, so my sister and I weren't there. And so they did tests. I'm imagining with a high degree of certainty that there was a blood drawn, and somehow the doctors, the technicians, they were able to come to some conclusion that my dad was very sick and that there was a high percent chance that he had cancer. And so part of me with the blood draw tomorrow, I guess kind of the third part, kind of the blood draw, the results, kind of goes with the results, is I know that I haven't done the best job at exercising, diet-wise, eating healthier. On top of that, I'm fearful, afraid, and feel helpless that I might get some news like that. And you can have your opinions. We're all allowed to have opinions. My dad is in his 70s. I'm in my 40s. Really 30 years kind of apart. When he passed, to where I'm at, and seeing where my grandparents, my grandpas on both sides, my mom and dad's side, how they lived into their 70s, and I'm already at 43, and so 30 years might sound like a lot, but in the grand scheme, it's not. We know we're not going to live forever. We know we're not perfect. We know at some point that God's going to take us from earth one way or another. We hope that we're able to go to heaven and reconnect with those we love, and even those if we might not have known. And so there's a little bit of that foreshadowing with tomorrow's blood draw, which is a little bit different than in 2017. Because 2017, I wasn't eating very much, so I had a good idea that my levels, whatever they were, potassium, magnesium, A1C, that they probably weren't too high because I hadn't been eating very much. And I was under the care of the doctors, and they had done a PET scan of my stomach, and among other tests that they did, because I was feeling, oh, this hurts, or that hurts, or I'm feeling this, or I'm feeling that. And so now at 43, 6+ years after that, with the events, with my dad passing, and even with that, with it being 1 year of his passing on March 1st, I have all those extra emotions inside, outside of me. And so that's how what may be viewed as a simple blood draw has and is making me feel afraid, helpless, fearful. But I know that I'm going to be okay going through the blood draw process. I don't know how. I know I am. I have to have that faith. So until next time, This is another episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast.